Whew, Double or Nothing is done. It is nearly 12 at night. So I know everybody else is doing their reviews right now. They're online, they're doing the podcast, they're going live and making that little bit of super chat money. I don't make nothing. But I'm going to give you my best thoughts about Double or Nothing. But at the end of this review, hopefully I don't forget, I will be talking about 3 things that I have to talk about. And that's the 3 shows I've seen. I've seen Under Siege, I have now seen Double for Nothing, and now I got to also talk about Night of Champions. Battleground, I'll elaborate where it could fit in between these 3, but I am going to talk at the end of this which show was the most surprising, which show was the most impactful, and which show most brutal impactful, and which show had the best story. I'm going to talk about them at the end of this review, so watch to the end. Okay, let me give it to you like this. Was this a good show? Yes. Was it very spot heavy? Yes, because I know there's a few people in my comments who can't stand spot monkeys, as they will call it. I don't like spots, as they say. So you're not going to like this show completely. You're not going to like it. Let's make this clear. You're going to think that this show sucks because you don't like heavy spots. So I'm just going to say for you now, maybe half the show you're going to be okay with. The other half you're going to hate. Other people who don't mind the spots, who love it like crazy, are going to love it like crazy. And those who, like myself, were well balanced, you're going to say this was a good show. It had a lot of spots in it. It had some good story to it. So it was okay. It wasn't incredible, but it was good. Opening, buy-in. We get the fate of Ethan Page when it comes to his contract, because Ethan Page and the Guns versus Hook, due to the fact that Cassidy had been attacked and he couldn't participate, so Hook took his place working with the Hardys, where Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, all of them are free, and now they're fighting to get control of Ethan Page's contract. If Ethan team lost, that's it. He's now under the control of Matt, Jeff, and pretty much, they don't have any control, but they gave input to Matt. He'll be the one who's going to own it. It was a good match, and in the end, I wasn't sure if they're going to let Ethan Page actually lose here to get his contract controlled by Matt. But they did. Now here's the thing for me personally, because this is now an interesting story. It is now interesting that Matt, as well as Private Party, Quinn and Cassidy, they lost their contracts to the firm. Now, we get Matt, also Cassidy, because Quinn is not there. I think either got hurt or he's no longer working with the company. They got their contracts freed, and now they have control of Ethan Page's. But here's the problem. Big problem. There's no dark elevation. It is done. There's nothing. So this story of where Ethan Page's contract has now been lost will be hopefully relegated to Rampage until Collision is active. Because until that, if we don't see them on Rampage, they're not going to show anything on Dark and Dark Elevation, because there is no more Dark. There is no Elevation. We will not see their story. So the question is going to be, will we see their story, or will we have to wait until Collision? Because we have to wait until the 17th before Collision airs. So that's going to be a big question. Are we getting this story? But the problem is that this story may be put on hold for almost nearly, 3 weeks to a month before we finally get to see it again on maybe Collision, if not on Rampage. The first match on the card was the Blackjack Battle Royal, where 20 guys were going up against Orange Cassidy in a Battle Royal. Whoever goes over the top turn rope, they're out. I didn't have a good feeling about this Battle Royal. I'm telling you, it doesn't mean the Battle Royal is bad. It wasn't. You got a lot of people in the Battle Royal. That was fine. But I did not have a good feeling about it because I could not see them giving that title to anyone at all. I'm just being honest here. Orange Cassidy is too over right now. Whether you like him or not, the crowd still loves him as international champion. He's gone through everyone. He's been hurt. His orange punch has not been working. His neck's not been working. His back's not been working. He's been beat up. They think now this is the only option that he's going to have to finally lose the damn title. And we watch it. We get, at the very end, who is the last people that was in that ring with him? I'm trying to remember because there was a lot of people there. You had Swerve Strickland and pretty much a Orange Cassidy. That's the last two. They were the only ones left. I mean, I do believe Big Bill was one of the last three that was left. In the 5 to 6 that was left, I think Big Bill was there, but then he was gone. But literally, it was Strickland and it was Orange Cassidy. The ending wasn't bad, but if you've seen the ending, and I believe I got a shot of it, I don't know if I got him kicking Swerve Strickland's hand, but if it's in my face, it's there. And you see Orange, he did an orange punch on Strickland, as you can see. He literally just kicked his hand off the rope, and he falls, and Orange keeps the title. I didn't expect Orange to lose here. I just didn't feel it, and I was right, because he's too over right now, whether you like it or not. They were not going to let him do it, but here's the thing. Orange just went through hell and high water to keep his damn title, and it looked like he cheated a little bit. Did whatever he had to win. What now? Who does he go up against now? Yes, he's still got a whole roster of people, but he's already gone up against most people outside, most people inside. When are you going to make this mean something? Not saying it isn't meaningful, because relevance is what I've talked about for years. You need to be relevant in the business more than just having a title. You can be a champion once and not mean a damn thing. You got to have relevancy. And Orange has that. But they can be complacent with him. And that relevancy can go from being like here to drop here unless you continually feed him another challenge. Question is, who's next? It's got to be someone substantial. I don't know who. Because he can't just keep going after just anyone. Someone has to be really serious at him. Maybe Miro might be the one that's going to take the damn title. I don't know. You guys tell me below. Next match. The unsanctioned match. I was not sure how this was going to go with Chris Jericho and Adam Cole, because I knew the Jericho Appreciation Society was going to be involved. I knew Robert Strong was going to be involved. The question was one person. The one person that can barely walk. That's Sabu. Sabu is from that area. Sabu was going to be the factor, supposedly the factor. But I was not sure about it. As I said in my Dynamite review. No, I didn't say anything about Sabu in the Dynamite review. But I was thinking about it. Then I said, no. I just can't talk about Sabu, because what am I going to say? That I'm super excited to see Sabu, who's at least my age or older. No, how old is Sabu? He's like almost 60. He's almost 60, and he's walking like this. Yeah, he can go like this, but I got a disability, guys. I cannot walk correctly. One of my hips is completely screwed up, a very rare disease in it. So I cannot walk properly, ever, no matter what I do. Sabu has gone in the ring for decades. He had reached a point where by the time I saw him like about 3 years ago, he was already having problems just walking around, let alone wrestling. So him being there, I didn't even know if this was going to be wise. Yeah, it was great publicity seeing Sabu there, and I know that just Alex was like, oh, whoa, they got fucking Sabu. He was surprised he got them. They managed to get him. And it was a great thing to see him. But I'm going like, what could he actually do? He can't go in the ring anymore. He can barely walk. I've seen when they show Harley Race, one of the most important people in history. The guy blew out his knees so many times. His knees were so bad, he couldn't even walk anymore. And Sabu was having problems walking. He couldn't even throw punches correctly. I'm sorry. You love Sabu. I never had a problem with Sabu. I liked Sabu. But one of the problems of bringing in older wrestlers who used to be doing those really hard styles of hardcore is that they can't go anymore. They can barely walk, let alone really do something substantial to add to a story, which was a good story. It wasn't perfect when it comes to Chris Jericho and Adam Cole. It was weak on Chris's side, but Adam Cole coming back from multiple concussions, where he said in Access, All Elite Access, that he couldn't even get into a car without throwing up. Now, I do have motion sickness a little bit, particularly if I don't eat. If I'm hungry and my empty stomach, any motion will get me sick. That's how I've been all my life. But seeing that was a good story. Seeing they added Chris to was a good story. Seeing her trying to say he was a coward while he basically was chained while his woman was getting beat up by another woman, it was kind of weak on Chris's side. But it was still a good story. And the match was good. JS was involved. Strong was involved. Very little with Sabu. Yes, he did jump off one of the second turn rope onto, who was it that he jumped onto? I think it was Daddy Magic, I believe. And the Jericho Appreciation Society. And he managed to do that. But once he did that, he was done. You could barely see him move around. He was going like this. That was not a joke, guys. Sabu cannot go anymore. He can barely walk. You could see it. He was barely able to do that jump and land on, I believe, Daddy Magic on a table. He barely could do it. So he didn't last very long. Maybe a couple of minutes once the fighting started. And he had to go into the back. I believe he, I can't remember who else he was messing with. I don't know. But by that time, he left. And then it was only about Chris. It was about Adam and Britt Baker. Because eventually, Britt came out with a kendo stick and started wailing on a little bit of Chris Jericho. She was mad at his ass and started wailing. I believe I got a shot. That's also my face. I believe I got it. But it was good. And then Saraya tried to come out to try and save. And I hope she did not get hit in the titty. Let's make this clear. Saraya does have fake boobs. And I'm not saying those suckers can pop. I'm not telling you those suckers can pop. But it worries me when you see a kendo stick that has the ability to cut skin easily. And yes, she's wearing a clothes. She's wearing a top. Her boobs are mostly exposed. I'm not saying that a slight cut will make her basically lose saline. I'm not saying that. She wouldn't use cellulose in her breasts, I believe. But literally, it worries me a little bit. I don't want to see a woman lose her boobs because of doing something hard. Let's be honest. Charlotte Flair has popped her titty already. It started leaking. She had popped it. I don't want to see anything for Saraya either. Now we're going to get, because of this match, and let's make this clear, this was a brutal match to the point where after being handcuffed to a chain, not just regular handcuffed on a short chain, it was a long-ass chain, you see that Chris gets Panama Sunrise and the knee to the head and getting beaten multiple times to the head by an Adam Cole. Eventually the match had to be stopped and Adam won the non-sanctioned match. But it was good, but now they're going to do a mixed tag because Chris was angry. Chris was angry that his rival's woman came in with a candlestick, started beating on him, and then started beating on Saraya. They wanted satisfaction, so now they're going to have their match. So Saraya will be getting into the ring because there's been some people that says Saraya, she doesn't want to get in the ring. Why is she getting in the ring? She's supposed to be healthy. Why isn't she getting in the ring? Dude, have you ever heard that not everyone wants to get in the ring every single time? Not that she can't go, but maybe it's Tony doesn't want to get in the ring. Or maybe she only wants to get in the ring when it means something. Maybe she wanted to be a manager to help Ruby Soho and a Tony Storm get over. It's a possibility that could have been. Or it could have been Tony wanting to make sure she's limited in being in the ring even though she's perfectly healthy. That could still be a factor, guys. You never know. Or maybe she made it clear, I'll go in the ring when it's really something. Don't just throw me in the ring. Please. I want to make it relevant, particularly for the women, which, if you haven't seen, AEW's women just don't have good stories. The Outcast should be bigger than 3 people. There should be 7 or 8 people. There should be women factions in AEW. Have you heard the OGs lately? Just the Outcasts. I'm just saying. Now, the AEW tag title picture which was the most disappointing one for me personally. I'm sorry. I know you're going to say, dude, really? You really want I wanted Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal to win. I'm not lying. I wanted it so. I was praying to the wrestling gods to let this happen. 3 reasons. Three. Not 4. 3. First reason is because, yes, we love FTR, but they got to have a reason to be relevant. To not just have these damn titles, but to have to chase after somebody. Just because they got the AEW titles doesn't mean that they've been really booked very well since unfortunate death of Mark's brother. And Jay's been dead, and it feels like they should have had more feuds with them. That's what I think they were planning for, and they lost it. Second reason, they are to a certain extent entertaining, particularly that Karen has shown up. The lovely Karen Jarrett, who's still got a pair of boobs. I believe I got a shot. She's in my face of her boobies still being there. Yes, she's in the mid-40s. Who gives a fuck? They're tits. She used to be a model. I believe she even won a contest or two of her beauty. I don't give a damn. She got a pair of tits. Who wouldn't want to touch them? And they were entertaining to a certain extent. I'm not saying they were perfect. Sanjay Dutt was the best one there to really make their feud mean something because of his attitude. But 3. This is the main reason. I wanted the Slug Daddy to be so fucking angry that Jeff Jarrett won the damn tag titles that he had to come on. He would be forced. I would have left on the video for him just to tease his ass if he had done Double or Nothing and they had won. If he didn't start doing reviews of Dynamite whenever Jeff Jarrett was there, I would be angry at him because I want to assume Jeff Jarrett's position, seeing his fucking rage, and want to see him explode. And I'm sure I'm a total minority. I know. Guys, I know. You don't give a fuck about Jeff Jarrett. You don't give a fuck about Sanjay Dutt. You don't care about Satnam Singh. I know you don't give a damn. I do. And I wanted to see a Slug Daddy explode with rage and have no choice but to review Dynamite because he doesn't do many reviews anymore. It's sporadic with him. Probably he's working still. He works in corporate. He's still working. But still, the match was all right. Eventually, what did we get? We get the ref, who is a Mark Briscoe down the line, being like Mr. Boy Scout, making sure everything is done, every I was dotted, every T was done. When Satnam tried to do something, he tried to stop him. When Sanjay Dutt tried to do something, he stopped him. When Jay faked a tag, he noticed and said, "Get the hell back in this ring." And it was clear that he was going to cut it down the middle. Eventually, Jeff Jarrett, guitar to the head. I don't believe I got that shot. But he nailed him on the head. And then, when they were bringing in a new ref, Audrey, the senior ref of AEW, was stopped by Karen. I believe I got a shot of that. She and her opponent was in my face. Guess what happened? Karen nails Audrey in the head with a damn guitar. Really? I did not expect that. And I'm hoping beyond anything Audrey gets angry because of it. Because now I want to see Audrey Edwards, who's supposed to be I forgot his name. Brian Hefner's dad. Oh my goodness. I can't remember his dad's name for some reason. I'm blanking. Maybe I'll add it on my face. But I want to see Audrey go in the ring. I want to see her go up against Karen Jarrett. I want to see her. Earl Hebner. There you go. I didn't need it. Earl. I want to see the daughter of Earl Hebner. Yes. Earl, the longest running ref that has gone in TNA, Impact Wrestling, WWE, well known across all of them. And his daughter finally gets in the ring for one match with Karen Jarrett because Karen hit her in the head because of a guitar. Tell me you wouldn't want to see that bitch get into the damn ring with Audrey Edwards and basically get her clock clean. That would be interesting. I'm not saying it'd be perfect, but it'd be interesting. Let's move on. In the end, FTR won, and I'm going like, damn it. There you go. Next, we get the TNT ladder match. I gotta say this was the weakest match of the entire show. I don't know about you. Now, I'm not saying it was a bad match. It wasn't. You see Luchasaurus there. You saw that he was involved in it, trying to help a Christian out. Where I gotta say this. Christian did the majority of that match. He did without having Luchasaurus helping. It was only nearing the end did Luchasaurus come out, well, like near the middle. And then nearing the end, Luchasaurus got involved. Then you get a Art Anderson finally coming out. And I don't believe I got the shot, but literally Art supposedly bit him in the finger, in his thumb. You could see that. I know I got that. Art literally, so not in real life, but he got some blood bag. And pretty much blood coming from his hand. Luchasaurus getting bit, supposedly. And then getting laid out by a big, how tall was that ladder? 15 feet at least? 18 feet? And then we get a helo onto 2 tables, one with Luchasaurus, the other one empty. And you see that he gets splatted. In the end, you do get Wardlow winning. But what does it really mean for Wardlow? Does it really help Wardlow going forward? I don't know. I would be a total trash fire. It would be a dumpster fire if Christian had won. But to be honest, I think Christian would have been better as a champion than Wardlow right now, because at least you had the muscle Luchasaurus. But seeing that they weren't letting him lose that title is actually better, because hot potato in that title just sucks. Big time. It's a joke. And I know one person said that the World Championship of WWE is better than the TNT title. Really? You know who you are, my friend. I don't agree. You know why? It may be hot potatoed. Yes, the TNT title has been hot potatoed. And I'm not lying, that sucks. But what is worse? A hot potatoed TNT title that had good booking for over 3 years, going into 4 easily. Then a title, literally, that should have been defended by only 2 WWE Raw wrestlers instead of a Raw and a SmackDown wrestler, where it shouldn't even be alive there. Guys, the new world title shouldn't even exist. What should they have done? Drop the freaking Universal Undisputed titles instead of leaving them on Roman, and not do it for Cody. They should have done it. Not because I love Cody. I'm not a big Cody fan. He's fine. I'm not a big Cody fan, but it would have made better sense to drop it to Cody than leaving it with Roman just because they wanted to break 1,000 days, which still isn't more than a Nick Aldis from NWA, who had almost 1,200-day reign. Nearly 3.5 years. Sorry, if he loses the title before 1,200 days, I will always say it on this channel. If anybody says, dude, what are you talking about? Nick Aldis? Really? Yeah. Because they're saying there's been no one longer than Roman Reigns in the common era and the new modern era has ever held the title. Wrong. There's one who's held it longer than him, even if it's not from the same promotion. Suck it. Let's move on. The match that was a secondary match. Good match. Let's make it clear. It was a good match. And the outcome made sense. But it was the one of 2 women's matches that was the weaker of the 2. And that's Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. Now, was there a good story there? Yes, it was. The story, and I want to make this clear, between the 2 women's matches, you know the other one I'm talking about, this had the better story because of Jamie and Toni knowing each other so well and having actual history. But it's not the better of the 2 matches. The other match is better. This was a good match, but admittedly, the crowd was not super into the match. And understand, I'm saying this clearly, for the Las Vegas crowd, they were not very loud all the time. I don't know what just Alex is going to say or JD, but they were not a very loud crowd. At over 11,000 people there, they just weren't that loud. And it wasn't because the mics weren't on, they were. It's just that they weren't cheering for every single match. This is one of those matches where they had like somewhat loud, sometimes loud, but then it's more subdued through most of the match. But it wasn't a bad match. I'm telling you right now, it wasn't. But let's be honest here. It was the weaker of the two. I'm just saying, quality-wise, it was good, but it wasn't great. In the end, seeing that Jamie Hayter, who was screwed over heavily by the Outcast, finally, after getting armpit to the ring turnbuckle without a turnbuckle, finally lost. 100% done. Finished. Out. And clearly, you now have Toni Storm as a new champion. But here's the question. What now? Are we going to get a good build for a Toni Storm? Now, this is her second run, not as the interim champion, now / champion, but now as a clean, true champion. What is going to be next? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to book her. I don't know how they're going to book the Outcasts. They have not booked the Outcasts or the OGs very well. Yes, Hiro Kushida did come out. She did help to a certain extent. And Baker even came out at one point and attacked Saraya. And that's when the decision to finally make that, around that time, that's when they wanted to do the mixed tag. That's coming this Wednesday. But I don't know if they're going to book them great. I just don't. I don't know. It's up to you guys to leave a comment below. Do you think? Now, let's move on to page 2. Because there's still more to go, baby. Damn, this is a long-ass show. Woo! This is a long-ass show. Okay. The second match that is... What I believe this is the weakest one. It isn't a weak match. But, honestly, it wasn't the most strongest match. And that's a trios title match between the House of Black and the Acclaim. Mind you, to be honest, if the House of Black was not holding the titles, I could easily see the Acclaim. In fact, I wanted the Acclaim to win. But knowing that, knowing that House of Black is now on a roll, this is the 7th defense and the 8th win, of course, we have to say they won. Honestly, their setting for their match of the open house match, well done. I'm not always fond of seeing that an arena's pitch black, but because this is a rare type of match that is only for this title, and it is by a very distinct group that everything is dark on them. And you saw I don't have the shot, but you saw Julia Hart wearing like nails like a Freddy Krueger or Edward Scissorhand. If you don't know what either one of those are, you should look them up. If you do know what they are, then you're very well a connoisseur of movies and television. If you're a woman and I'm single. I'm a movie buff. Anyway, and TV buff. But honestly, seeing that makes sense. Honestly, that's just the way it is. But let's make this very clear. This was a good match, but honestly, it could have been just a Dynamite match. I'm being honest here. A good Dynamite match. Let's make this clear. Seeing the match with the Acclaim was a damn good match, but it could have been on Dynamite. I think it should have been on Dynamite. But the problem, if there wasn't most of what was left on this card, because we got how many matches left? We got 1, 2, 3, 4 more matches to go on this card. That's where it gets hurt. Because if this didn't have anything else following it, more than maybe one match, it would have been okay. This could have been great for the show. But honestly, it should have been left for Dynamite because it was just too much on the show already. The crowd did like the match. I liked the match. But I'm looking at it from a point of view of from the card from the beginning, which had good build, which did have a match of the ladder match before. It wasn't great, but it was okay. This match really kind of got lost in the shuffle, even though it was good. In the end, the House of Black won. You already know this. But who's next for the House of Black? I don't know who. It's a big question. Now, the match that was the stronger of the two, but had no freaking story behind it. Not a very good one, at least. At least not until after the match was freaking over. Did they add something to that damn match? That is the TBS title between Jade Cargill at I'm kind of jumping the gun. 59 wins, no losses at that time, and Taya Valkyrie. I'm going to be honest here. I will explain how I felt about the match and the best things about the match. I'm angry that Taya had to be used this way. I'm sorry. I'm a Taya fan. I love Taya. She's my girl. And yes, she got put into a prominent situation where, yes, she was not the focus at the end. You know who won. And you know who won. Twice. If you've seen the show, you know who won, and then you know who won. But the point is, Taya feels like she's an afterthought when she's not an afterthought. Because when you see how she performed here, it shows how great she was. And being in NXT as Frankie Monet, and Vince, because she was 37 years old, I believe at that time, that she was considered nothing, pisses my ass off beyond no end. That woman shows how damn good she is. How freaking great she is. And they did nothing with her. So when you see this match, I'm going like, it's pissing me off. They really need to get that title off of Jade. If she wins this again, I was going to rant on this video. So, when we saw the match was well constructed. The one who was leading the match was not Jade, it was Taya. Taya was leading that match. Since she's been the 12-year veteran, I believe she's been in 12 years, she knew how to be able to guide the match the way she wanted it. She wanted to make it very clear that both of them were damn tough women. Both of them had the same type of move, just called different. And both of them wanted to show how freaking tough that nobody can get in their way. Laura Gray could not stop a Taya Valkyrie, even though she did interfere multiple times. You can see that both of them were going back and forth with power. This is one of the rare times that you see that a Jade Cargill could not overpower her opponent. It's one of those rare times that Jade could not do it. She was dead even with Taya. And that's what made this a very damn good match, which clearly, out of many of the matches, and particularly when it came to the world title, this got way more pop than any of the other than what was going on after this match. With the pillars, with what happened with the world title after that. You guys know what I'm talking about. What was it, 3 matches left or 2? 2 matches, my mistake. But you know what I'm talking about. If this could have closed the show, that's how loud the people popped. How loud they loved Taya. They were cheering for Taya. They were cheering for Jade. They were cheering for Taya. It was loud. Each one of them managed to pull off their move, and it didn't work. And in the end, eventually, Taya did the road to Valhalla, but it didn't get Jade. She barely managed to pop up. And there was one point that, I forgot which move it was, that she literally drove. I don't know if I got that shot, if it is in my face. It was one move before that where it looked like Jade might have got a bell rung a little bit. But once she did the move that drove Jade's face into the damn mat, you could tell she was a little dazed. But she still managed to kick out when the road to Valhalla was done. But then eventually when the Jade was done, she did lose. It was over. And I was going, motherfucker, I cannot believe they did this again. 16-0. I'm going like, are you serious? They got to get this damn title off this woman. She has done everything she can. As I've been saying for months, she has gone from here, where the title was dead, and she was still young in it, and she did everything she could to bring herself up. The title's here. She's here. That is the best she can do. She could not get it any higher. She was done. It was time to dump that damn title. And when it was over, I was mad. And I thought it was stupid until Smart Mark Sterling said, this is the 60th win for my girl Jade, and we are the greatest. There is nobody better than us, and we continue to keep showing how great she is, and there is an open contract every time, anytime, anywhere. Nobody can. And then the music plays, and you see in my face, Chris Statlander returns. Something that many people have been waiting since she got hurt. She's been out a long time. And she finally comes back. She gets into the ring. And the match is going to happen. She said anytime, anywhere, Statlander comes up. She jumps into the ring and within about, 20 seconds to 30 seconds. That's it. She wins. She wins the TBS title. Shows the title. I believe I got a shot of that. That's in my face. She shows the damn title. And 100% the place exploded because they've been waiting so long for Statlander to come back. Statlander is back. That's great. Everybody's happy. But then I can see the ref helping Taya to the back. And this is when I felt Taya was basically treated. I'm like, I know Taya. Taya is a very selfless woman in real life. She's very sweet. She's a very kind and sweet woman. If that woman was single and she wanted to be my friend, I'd say, I'll be your friend forever if you let me love you. That's how sweet she is as a person. And I can understand that she wanted to make sure that match looked the best it could do. She busted her ass in that match. And for me personally, it pisses me off that she's going to go through this. I know it was necessary because as much as the fan in me wanted to see her get somewhere because she deserved it. As a reviewer, I'm seeing it for what it was. She did the job correctly. She made sure Jade, the first match, looked good. This match made her even look better. So when Statlin finally came back and did this quick job, she exploded the damn arena. There's no way it didn't happen. It did. If you don't like it, I can understand. I didn't like it as a fan, but as a reviewer, I got to see it for what it was. Taya did the job correctly for both matches, and there you go. Statlander's the champion. Jade Cargill is finally stripped of it. She's done with it. Hopefully, she will not try to get it back, and she doesn't get it back. She's going to face a Statlander, and hopefully Statlander will not lose to her, and then Jade will move on to the main title. That's where she needs to go now. She can become a face. That's what I think must happen. The last of the two matches, one of the last two, the Four Pillars match, the second best match of the night. Not for its match, it's the first best match of the night for its quality in match and how they performed in it. But for story, it was, I gotta restructure this. It was the best match of the night when it came to match quality. But it was the second best story of the night. That's the best way to say it. Even though it should be the best story of the night. But it was the best story of the night until the last match of the night happened. And then that became the best story of the night. That, I think, is the best way to say it. You got MJF. You got Sammy Guevara, who is a daddy. His Ty Mello is pregnant. They showed it, and I believe we got a shot of it. It's in my face. Ty Mello is now pregnant, and they revealed it to everyone. If no one didn't know in the back, they now announced that Ty is now pregnant. And even Tony Schiavone was surprised. He didn't see her wrestling for weeks now. She's pregnant. She can't wrestle, but they're going to be expecting a child. Great. Then we get MJF coming out in a devil's mask, and then after taking off his mask and the lighting, and he was up on a pillar being brought down when the lights came out. As he's walking to the ring, you got women in devil's masks going like this, clawing at him. Really? Oh, almost forgot. Taya Valkyrie also had women that were by her side when she came out. There was a lot of women in Las Vegas you can always hire. I think it was women. I don't think they were, I think there might have been actual women. No offense to anyone that was in drag or that wasn't a woman, but I'm hoping there were women. I'm just saying. But that was the second one. When it came down to Jungle Boy, he came down regular. And the last one, and this made my ass laugh, that was a Darby Allin coming out, literally. Well, before he came out, he went to a chapel with a chaplain who was Elvis, and you got a guy wearing a mask, well, a paper of MJF, and he, the man who's doing the wedding, saying, is there anybody who wants to say anything? No. He said, bring in the bride, and it's Darby Allin. He beats the crap out of the guy wearing the mask, the paper mask, and he said, dude, what are you doing? He says, hold this, beats the crap out of him, tapes him up, and says, you're going to help me, or you're just going to stand there? That's Darby Allin to the Elvis chaplain. And he says, why not? It's not the first time I've done that. They put him into a car, all wrapped up in tape, and they drive him away. And then Darby comes down to the ring wearing an Elvis jumpsuit. I believe I got that shot. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to say this. Darby as a wrestler is good. He's actually a good wrestler. He does a lot of holds as well as a lot of spots. That's what people love him for, more spots in his holds. I think he's a good, near all-around wrestler. But his creative mind, especially doing that, I haven't seen that done in years. Not many people would actually come out wearing a jumpsuit from Elvis. If anyone hasn't seen Agent Elvis, check it. It's an anime that was made. Try and find out if you can see it. Agent Elvis is only 10 episodes for the first season, based in the 60s and 70s of Elvis Presley being a secret agent and his actual wife, what is her name? Priscilla, I believe her name. I forgot her name. She came up with the concept. It's damn funny. You should watch it. And that was damn funny. And this was a damn good match. I can't even begin to tell you how much was in this match. Honestly. Each one of them tried to outdo the other. Each one of them did the same moves as the other. And I know that people who don't like spots are going to say this was a garbage match. Because that's all they did. They did spots. Yes, they did do a lot of spots. But understand, AEW is known by these four guys who all, to a certain extent, each have similar style of wrestling. The one who has the most persona is MJF. The one who has the most creativity is Darby Allin. The one who is the most straightforward is a Jungle Boy. And the one that is the most sexualized, Sammy Guevara. That is just how they are. Each one has been in their own group. Each one has been what they've been. The clean one, which is Jungle Boy. Darby being in the Jericho as well as the Inner Circle, being sexualized, and especially now being a father coming. Darby and MJF, that's just how they are. They take those characters and stick them on top of their spot techniques and actual wrestling. That's what you got. Now, if you don't like it, you're going to hate this match. I'm just telling you. But this was, if you're seeing it for what it was, an exceptionally good match that the crowd was very invested in. You could hear them. In the end, I just did not feel that MJF was going to job. I knew he wasn't going to job, and he did not job. He found a way to win. He just did. But I am worried about Sammy Guevara because at one time you saw Jungle Boy run at him to try and break up a pin he was doing, and they clinked heads. You could see Sammy taking a straight hit by Jungle Boy's forward lobe right there to the side of his head. It was a hard hit. He didn't intentionally try to headbutt him like that, but he did. And I'm just hoping both of them are all right, because you can get a concussion that hard because he ran at him really hard on all fours trying to stop the pin. So hopefully he's all right. But MJF is still the champion. And we may have a feud between Darby Allin and Jungle Boy because Darby got stopped very abruptly at one point by Jungle Boy. I'm just saying. Finally, the final match of the night, the Anarchy in the Arena match. This was the second best match of the night compared to theirs because of its story. Well, because of the match quality, I have to say it like that. It wasn't as brutal, but it was the most brutal match here. There's no lie. That's why it's the best match in brutality. Story, it was the best story. Not saying it was the greatest story you're going to love. And if you didn't watch the interview between JR and Don Callis, which I did watch, so I can get more information why Don did what he did. And he was at ringside because the commentary team was at the ring because they weren't at the ramp like they normally were. You even hear JR getting annoyed at Sanjay Dutt because he was getting on his nerves saying, shut up, you jerk, shut up. He was saying that during the show. But the story there was the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club. They made it a very brutal story. Now, the one for the 4 Pillars was about who the real 4 people who really made this company mean something compared to the 8 guys who may have not totally defined the company. They were a part of the company and now it's going forward from the 4 Pillars as well. It was such, what was it called? Violent Idols. I believe that's the name of the band who plays Moxley's song. The guy who usually sings it wore a black mask. I thought he painted his face, but I saw he was wearing a mask. And they played Wild Thing most of that fight. It was blaring. You could hear it. They were amongst the entire arena. It got heavily bloodied. At one point, we got... How can I say this? At one point, they took off, I think it was Nick. Not Matt, but I think it was Nick. They took off his left sneaker. Then eventually tried to mess up his ankle. Then someone brought in thumbtacks. And then Nick got his foot, drove into those thumbtacks without a sneaker or sock. Nothing. Barefoot. He was driven straight into it. It was bad. It was just a brutal thing. I have not seen anybody actually get their foot stuck in thumbtacks before. They tried not to show it much, but it happened. At one point, you see that Nick, but it was Nick, was driven as a pile driver into a pickup truck by Claudia. Excuse me. They went all around the arena. They tried to make this mean something so dramatic. Eventually, one of the refs got bloodied. I believe I got a shot of that. One of the refs got hurt and got bloodied in his head. Even he got hurt. It was the most brutal match I've seen in a while with such a large amount of people in it. And it was in the arena, not that was pre-taped. Like they done in the when they did the, what is it? Not the arena, but I forgot what they called it. The battle in the stadium, I can't remember, Stampede Stadium match. But this was with everybody there. Everybody was listening. Everybody was cheering. Everybody was screaming. It was that loud and that crazy. In the end, what did we get? We get the betrayal again. But not just from Don Callis, because Don did give Wheeler Yuta a screwdriver to try and drive into basically Hangman Page and into Kenny, but it didn't work, I believe, on Kenny, because he managed to get away with it. Then you see that Don got into the ring. He tried to mess with Kenny in his head. But in the end, before Kenny could do anything to Don, someone jumps into the ring, nails a Kenny Omega, and Wheeler Yuta gets the pin on Kenny Omega. And the person that did that was, guess who? The person I talked about months ago, and I said will probably join Don and probably join the Elite. That was Kateska. Kateska has turned dark. He stayed by Don's side, and then Don grabs his belt and starts choking Kenny Omega to death, and then lays him out, and they're all basically Blackpool Combat Club forever. That's what we got in this show, guys. This entire thing, which is going to take me a long time to edit. I hope you don't mind it being so late. This is what we got. But now that I remember, I hope I didn't forget. Luckily, I remembered. What did I think about the 3 shows I watched? Impact Wrestling, WWE, and now AEW. Not talking about Battleground. That's going to be its own separate video. Maybe where will it fit amongst the 4? And I'll do it when I do that review tomorrow. I'm going to tell you this. If you want to know which show was the most surprising, it was Impact Wrestling. There is no doubt in my mind, and I'm saying it right now, there is no doubt that Impact Wrestling was the most surprising show, and that's an Impact Plus show, just like Battleground is a developmental show for WWE. Impact Plus is not their pay-per-view, but it's just a regular, like, extra show they make during every couple of weeks to every month. And this was the most surprising show I've seen from them, even with production problems. Now, which one had the best matches? That's AEW. I have to say that. AEW, from one end to another, with a couple of weak matches, had the best matches where some of them were important, some of them had special gimmicks, and some of them really meant something. Which one had the best story? That's going to be Night of Champions. And that's because of just one match. One. And that was when it came to... and that's the saddest thing when it comes to Night of Champions. I know one person didn't mind Night of Champions, but it's only about one freaking match where every other match meant nothing. Nothing. When you look at Night of Champions, literally it doesn't mean anything. It was about Solo and Roman dealing with the tag champs. And that the bloodline has now possibly imploded. That's it. Nothing else mattered. The SmackDown women's titles on Raw. The Raw women's titles on SmackDown. Gunther, yes, will get maybe a 2-year run with that title. But that's just to break the Honky Tonks Man title reign. That's the only reason they're leaving with Gunther. Mustafa Ali meant nothing. When it came to the other match, when it came to Sammy was cared more about that. Literally, the majority of that show, there was only one important thing there. Not even Cody and Brock Lesnar meant anything. Even though they pushed so hard to make Cody mean something, Cody meant nothing. So that show only had one story that was the best out of all 3 shows that came out. That's not good. Let's hope that Battleground will give WWE something a little more than just one match and one story. But I'm telling you right now that AEW, they did a good show. It had a lot of good matches. Now, all of them, everyone's going to like. A lot of them did have good stories behind them, unlike Night of Champions. And in the end, you got Statlin coming back and finally stripping Jade Cargill of that damn title, which I could not stand anymore. I'm so happy it happened. And this is just me. And I hope you enjoyed this Double or Nothing pay-per-view review. Please give me a comment below. Oh my gosh, you know, this has got to be at least 40 minutes and I act like I don't breathe. If you haven't heard me go like this, I don't breathe. Peace.